if they've already decided on this and it was just an oversight that they didn't put anything in or didn't know that they had to write something. So, you know, they hopefully will be back in a few minutes. As we've been telling our viewers, and more are turning in, the verdict has not been read yet. Just to bring everyone up to speed, here's what happened. Right at 3 o'clock on the dot, the judge, she is very punctual. She came into the courtroom. Everyone stood up. She brought in the jury. There was a little sidebar between the attorneys up in front. They were looking and they said, oh, guys, jurors, you didn't fill out the compensatory damages. You didn't fill that part out. There's nothing here. You have to go back to the jury room and fill this out. And so the jury was sent back out to take care of that, and that's what we're waiting for at this point. Again, Amber Heard, as you can see, is there in the courtroom with her attorneys. Johnny Depp is not here. His team having told us that because of prior commitments in the UK, which we know to be shows, he's playing music with Jeff Beck. He will be watching the verdict from the UK. So who knows? Maybe he's watching our coverage. If so, Johnny, call us. We want to do an interview with you as soon as this is all over. Linda, any final predictions here as we wait for word?
Well, it's very interesting with this possible dollar worth of damages. Now, but I have a question here, Stacey. I wonder if the teams know who the verdict was for, because remember, the judge brought them to the bench. They were looking through the verdict form. She obviously had to tell them that there was a verdict in favor of someone, but has to send them back for damages. We can't see the courtroom, so we can't see the body language or what's happening.
That's a good point.
So,
that is a good point.
I wonder whether they know who's won and who is lost, Stacey.
And if they did perhaps see that, I mean, would that be an issue? Would there be any sort of violation of rules or any ethics issues if they saw it before it was read out publicly in court?
Absolutely. Quite frankly, they have a right to see it and to tell their clients. You know, so no, there's no violation. They have to know when the jury has filled out the forms, and they have to know, is there a problem, because the judge has to tell them what she is going to do so they can either lodge an objection or not lodge an objection. And again, could they have just forgotten to fill it out? They may not have known that you just give $1 compensatory damages. Maybe it wasn't in the instructions. Quite frankly, I don't remember seeing it, but we should have one of our legal, eagle, fabulous people here that go through everything with a fine-tooth comb again to see whether there was an instruction about whether or not you had to award a compensatory damage of $1 if somebody wins.
Let me set the scene for those who are just tuning in. You're looking at a picture live outside the Fairfax County Courthouse here, where you see the crowds are growing. If you can hear in the audio behind me, there are helicopters circling up and above, local news helicopters taking pictures of the crowds. It was just, I think, gosh, I'm losing track already, but around 1:30 when we got word that a verdict was going to be read at 3 o'clock. At that point, it was basically just media hanging out outside trying to keep cool. As soon as we found out the verdict was coming, well, quickly, all the media assembled in their spots, and we started to see more and more cars pull up, more and more cars pull up into the parking lot, more fans come outside. Obviously, more people go inside the courtroom. You have to have one of these special wristbands in order to be in the courtroom or the overflow room. And now we see a much bigger crowd, which is probably going to continue to grow over the next few minutes. It's possible, since we now know that Johnny Depp is not coming, that some of the fans who were hoping to catch a glimpse after the verdict was read, they decided to sit it out because they know he's not here. Again, Amber Heard is there inside of the courtroom with her legal team. Unclear whether she'll make any kind of statement afterwards. As you can see in that picture outside the courtroom, there is a live picture, there is a podium rather set up with all the microphones. So as soon as the verdict's read and the legal teams come out and the other key players come out, we are going to be getting that reaction to you, those responses to you live. A little bit of behind the scenes info here. Our own Ann Jeanette has just stepped outside, so she's going to join me in just a second to give me the lowdown on what's going on inside, what the timeline is here, when we could see the jury back in the courtroom. But again, if you're just joining us, we were supposed to have the verdict read right at 3 o'clock. The judge did call the jury into the room right at 3 o'clock. Johnny Depp's legal team was there. Amber Heard and her legal team were sitting in there. But they looked at the paperwork, they looked at this special jury form, and someone said, oh, the judge said, oh, you guys forgot to fill out something pretty crucial here, because the damages page was left blank. And the attorneys had a little sidebar, and then the judge sent the jury back to fill in the damages. Ann Jeanette just sat down next to me. Ann Jeanette, tell me, what's going on in there? What was the vibe? What's going on?
Well, I think the vibe was, you know, everybody, we're told that we're not allowed to talk to anybody in there, which, you know, we're news people, so, and we're just human beings, right. So that's really difficult, so we got kind of shushed. But it was interesting because it was kind of heavy, like, Amber Heard walked in. She kind of greeted her attorneys, wearing a black dress. Her hair kind of pulled back loosely. This is different from a lot of the times we've seen her come in with the braids. I couldn't see whether she smiled or anything like that, but she came in. Obviously, we know Johnny Depp had previously scheduled concerts with Jeff Beck in London, so he's not here.
Right.
He's watching, we're told, from the UK. So they came in, the jury walked in, they took their seats, they kind of just looked around slightly, not a lot, and then they just kind of focused on the judge. Judge Ascarati calls the lawyers up. She says, you have to assign damages. I think I can safely say if they didn't assign damages, and they were supposed to, they found defamatory statements, right?
Right. That's what we have been saying, and Linda agrees with you too. Tell me, first of all, who's in the courtroom, in the audience? Is it a mix of media and regular people, onlookers? Is it completely packed?
It's not as packed as it could be or as it has been. Like, there have been a lot of days where it's just totally packed. I was sitting next to a reporter from the UK, another reporter from Courthouse News. We were just, we've talked a lot during this case. We saw some of the local, I would call like more local Depp fans here. I didn't see any Amber Heard supporters up there. That doesn't mean there might not have been one or two there, but I did not see them. And, it's just kind of like, I felt like everybody's just kind of sitting there. They're waiting for the big news.
Yeah. So it's like almost like, oh, false alarm. And you came back out here. Does that mean you don't think they're going to be back for a bit?
Well,
what's going on time-wise?
I felt I should come out here, and sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath.
Yeah, and Antoinette has her tennis shoes on, by the way. So she is out here running for you guys to get you everything you need to know. And don't forget, it's close to 100 degrees out here.
Yeah, it's close to 100 degrees. And I swapped the the sandals for the Brooks sneakers. So but I ran out of there as everybody else did, got on the elevator, came out. They obviously have set things up much differently now at the press conference area, and they've put up the I forget what you call them, not barricades, but the little. They've set it up so that the attorneys can walk out in a civilized manner and not be swarmed by people.
Right. There's barricades because they don't want people rushing them, and those barricades have been set up since yesterday in anticipation.
But this looks like almost like a red carpet or something. This is different than the barricades. This is like in front of the courthouse doors, and it's those things where you can kind of unhook the thing, the little ribbon thing, and you can unhook it. And they have those, and there are fans on both sides. So there are Depp supporters, it appears, on both sides.
Right, and we're showing our viewers that picture outside the courthouse right now. So, and by the way, I just want to say to everyone who's tuned in right now, we've got 2.7 million people watching us on YouTube. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Feel free to send in your questions, because while we wait, we want to answer more of your viewer questions. We've got, once again, our all-star panel. Linda Kenny-Bodden's with us in the studio. We've got other guests joining us. Obviously, Antoinette is here, so keep sending us your questions. And we are here to answer them. Now, it's funny, you say it's almost like a red carpet. These lawyers have really attained celebrity status over the last 6+ going on 7 weeks of this trial. I mean, Camille Vasquez now has fans from all over.
That's
Talk
true.
a little bit about that, about sort of like the status that these lawyers have earned during this trial.
Yeah, and Ben Chu especially and Camille Vasquez have become celebrities. TikTok started making videos about both of them. There have been plenty of moments in this trial that were comical, despite the very serious subject matter being discussed. But there have been some amusing moments, and they have become stars in their own right. They've become almost legal superstars. So they've become celebrities. There have been times out here when they've left court where I actually felt a little bit concerned, because I felt like even